Oh, man, it feels so good to be back.
Did we ever leave?
Not really. Not really. Hotel California over here. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show. America's favorite Denver Nuggets podcast, but also Serbia's favorite Denver Nuggets podcast.
That's right. What about Australia? We got to be up there.
I think it's probably Australia's
Is it your favorite?
Not my favorite.
He does a couple. That's the thing. He does a couple.
Couldn't imagine.
On today's show, man, yesterday it was Harrison and Dev. Today it's Vote and D-Line. So we can almost make this like we should just do a post-game show, like a dueling post-game show.
Oh, just
Sweet.
to see who's like more vibey? Like, what's the metric?
Ooh, maybe that is more vibey, better takes, less controversial.
Head-to-head post-game shows.
Head-to-head, and we'll judge them.
Yeah.
We're going to give some hangover takes. I haven't heard what these fellas thought about the game. I haven't even talked to you guys. So actually, usually I say that, and I actually do know what you guys think of the game. I don't know what you think of the game, so I'm excited to find out.
I don't even know what I think of the game.
Gather your thoughts quickly here. We're also going to be talking about other back-to-backs. The Miami Heat did it. The Golden State Warriors did it. Kobe's Lakers, Shaq's Lakers, they did it. So we're going to look at trends. Was there anything that stood out between year one and year two from those teams? We'll look at some of that, and we're also going to predict the record for the Nuggets, the Wolves, and the Thunder by going game by game, predicting how each one will go. To help me do that, as I mentioned, I got Brendan Vogt.
What's up, fellas? What's up? Malone and Jokic were so excited about that game last night that it inspired my coverage. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I got to bring it tonight. So I stepped it up a bit at the arena. I thought the grades were pretty good this morning. But listen, it's, long regular season. Find ways to motivate yourself. Well, the most important player on the team last night got everyone motivated. What a treat. One
of the storylines I want to talk about. I'm so glad you're coming with that hangover take, dude. I'm excited about that one. And then over there, the man in black, D-Line Co.
That's right, guys. I'm still a little sick, under the weather a little bit. I was out yesterday. It's part of the job, part of most people's jobs where you stream for 60 to 70 hours.
That's what most jobs are, yeah.
The NCAA tournament, drink
they call
alcohol,
it 9 to 5.
Abuse your body. But I'm just like you in that way, sick.
He does get sick. I will note that every time I get sick, Eric makes fun of me for having a weak immune system. So Eric, so weak. Really?
I know.
I was around the whole time. Didn't get sick.
This is the first time he got me.
Yeah, I can tell you.
But I'm here.
You're a weak body.
But I'm here. I'm here.
Where were you last night?
I was watching the game.
I'm messing with you. Come on. Let's go to the Hangover. Do you have our Hangover graphic, Alyssa? I don't know if you know where that one is. Let's go to the Hangover as the Nuggets last night beat. So I can't even call them the Grizzlies.
Right. Like what? This is such a. I don't know. This is a part of the season where there are clear delineations and motivations for each team. The Memphis Grizzlies do not want to win.
No, they want to lose.
The Denver Nuggets want to win basketball games, but they're able to not have to put full effort forth to do it all the time. It's a very interesting part of the season.
Yeah.
Pretty ridiculous.
He's right. The Nuggets didn't seem like they had to put forth that great of an effort, and yet, Vote, I feel like they did.
Yeah, and the grades that just went up on the DNVR.com today, or a couple hours ago, rather, everyone made honor roll. And the lowest grade I could go is A-, by the way.
Wow.
And I meant it for all of them. I think they went to Colin and DeAndre Jordan.
Dude.
DeAndre Jordan, who posted an A- without scoring a point, and I meant it. 2 blocks on Jaren Jackson Jr. I thought great minutes from the bench. Ultimately, guys, it was a culture night in Ball Arena. It was a culture night, and everyone who played contributed.
Yeah.
Michael Malone made very clear he went out of his way to shout everyone out. The quotes, as they are in the best nights from the arena, reflect a unit that, at least in the moment, was feeling closeness and excitement about the shared goals. And so it was really, and it was spearheaded from a guy who, in years past, we used to joke about where his effort comes and when, in Jokic, and there's such a responsibility to him now as the best player in the world, and the responsibility he assumed last night was high energy, so that guys like Colin and Julian Strother and Christian Brown could get the most out of those moments in those minutes. And everyone who played made the most out of their opportunity.
I love that note, and actually it's where I want to go with it. I do want to come back to talking about happy and sad fan bases, because I do feel like there is us and everyone else to some degree. Like, you watch around the landscape of the NBA and everybody's miserable and doubting their team, and we're over here like, man, how fun was that game last night? That was fun.
And there's a pretty clear difference between those two.
Yeah, it's so true.
I mean, the Nuggets 2A guard put 7 assists up in like 18 minutes last night.
And was awesome. He was legitimately
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
But I want to go to Jokic because it's my first hangover take. And that is what you brought to our attention last night that Malone said after the game. And then I had to go back and listen to it myself so I could hear it. Malone insinuated, or flat out said, that Jokic actually likes these games. You wouldn't guess it. That Jokic maybe views these games as a task. Oh, Murray's not out here. Aaron Gordon's not here. I got to go out there against this pointless team and this or that. But that Jokic actually revels in the opportunity to say, wow, I'm playing with Colin tonight, and Christian is starting, and Peyton, we're going to share some minutes. This is a chance for me to really grow those guys. Not that he accepts that, which is like, great. We'd be thrilled if we heard like Jokic accepts that challenge. But instead, tickled.
Excited
to do that. He was like,
it.
oh, hell yeah, tonight I get to go out there and like teach those guys how to play and play ball with them. Eric, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I'm surprised by this, actually.
Me too.
That's pretty remarkable. I think it's, I don't know, I guess there's a little bit of a parallel here between ourselves and Nikola Jokic, which are easy to draw most of the time.
Constantly drawing
We
those
always are,
parallels.
yeah. We see ourselves in him a lot.
But, you know, like we set out, we created this company. It's kind of cool to see when there's like other shows, other networks, other people that are sort of following along in what we set forth. So, like, it's probably cool for Jokic to sort of understand, like, see this universe that he has created, like God himself, and watch, people and other small, lesser beings flourish and learn in that environment. And just like, it's probably pretty satisfying for him, because obviously the Denver Nuggets are a full construct of the Nikola Jokic brand of basketball, his way of thinking. And so I'm sure that there is a lot of satisfaction in watching other new people come into the fold and just get it.
Alyssa, real quick, I know you produce a lot of different shows. You're filling in. Kel's out of town right now. Does the Nugget Show, are we the ones that lead all shows in referencing and comparing ourselves and our favorite players to Jesus Christ?
Yeah. It's got to be
top 5. Well, hang on.
She's
There's
like the Buffs. There's
the
a Buff
Buffs beat. There's a Buffs
There's
beat.
a Buffs beat. I do like that we compare ourselves to Jokic. We compare ourselves to God.
Well, we're not comparing. I was not comparing us. I was comparing Jokic to.
Right.
But then I was
by
saying
us,
we are like
Jokic,
him in a small way.
I
So
drew the dots.
we're demigods, right?
Yeah, there you go.
And what's a god to Coach Prime? Anyway, the Jokic loves process. Jokic loves process. And I believe it was about 3 years ago when a friend of mine, friend of the show, TJ McBride, asked Jokic a great question. Because I think Jokic said something like winning doesn't actually, it's not winning that motivates him. And then TJ followed up right away and he says, losing? Does losing motivate you? And Jokic kind of paused and TJ said, or what does? And Jokic sat on it for a second and he actually said, I don't know. And he thought about how to articulate it. And eventually he described process. He likes, like, okay, it's not that we made it or we fell short. It's we made it this far. And then these are the reasons why it didn't work. And then we all get to come back together at either next year or next game or next practice and try again.
Right.
And this process of improvement, I think both individually and then within the ecosystem of a collective, that I think there's something that Jokic innately loves in that. Like it's in his blood kind of. And as an athlete and a competitor, and what a cool way for it to manifest. Because then you get moments like last night that could have just been a regular season product. Who pays for these tickets? Let's all just get out of here and go home. But instead, it was a showcase for Denver's culture and camaraderie, and like why being a teammate with Jokic is such a treat, really.
Right. It is a process thing, and that's part of what's so great about it. It makes me think of two ideas. The first one is, I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Meaning, like, everybody has goals,
right?
But it doesn't. You're not going to rise, just set goals, and you're going to rise to them. You have to you have to develop systems. I think Jokic is very much views this journey as that. Like, we are going to be as bad as our habits and systems have allowed us to be, and if that means championship level, then our floor becomes that, and we're going to get it. But then there's another part that I think is even more telling. Again, we always psychoanalyze Jokic. It's one of the funnest things to do. He's a fascinating human being.
Sure is.
But one of the things I really believe with Jokic is that he has a weird acceptance of what is and is not in his control. And I think it's part of why he doesn't feel the same pressure as everyone else, is he kind of has this acceptance of, I'm going to go out there and play the same way. And if the shot doesn't go in, that's just life. Like, the shot doesn't always go in. So be it. And I think that's kind of what he's talking about here, is he's developed a system and influenced an organization from in all parts of it to be able to say, we can only control what we control, but we're going to control that 100%.
Right.
Tonight, that's Colin and that's Christian Brown and that's Peyton, and I got to get them up because we're going to fall to the level of the culture we've established that those guys can carry out. And guess what? Last year, that was championship caliber, and this year I believe it is too. Doesn't mean they're going to win, but it means that they appear to be a team that is putting themselves in the best position so that chance plays the most marginal role possible.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
I agree.
I think that's one of the big takeaways here. What else? What are some other hangover takes? Eric, we haven't really heard your thought on that game.
Well, I mean, a night like last night, it's hard for me to take a lot away from the game itself because it is so ridiculous in so many ways. Like, the Denver Nuggets beat the hell out of the Grizzlies. It was never close. But it is cool to see players like a Gillespie, my one major takeaway outside of Christian Brown being just on one right now, him like really rounding into form, is that I was really impressed the way that Peyton Watson responded to Michael Malone's challenge that he issued to him. He Great really call. Played with heart and effort and focus and did what I think needed to be done. There is just like a lot of games within the game going on right now, particularly for a team like the Nuggets that really have most of their actual questions answered as far as like starting lineup, this, that, or the other, that other teams are still wrestling with at this point in time. Like, now it's, okay, who's going to be in the rotation? But moreover, it's like, who's going to be in the rotation next year? Like, who's going to be part of this team moving forward? And they actually have the ability to sort of like answer small form, large form, a lot of questions, and do so in live NBA basketball without much consequence because, I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies, like, they were the Thunder last year. They were the team that was surging.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, much tragedy befell them, mostly because of Ja Morant's decision-making. He's out injured this year, but it's wild. Like, that squad has fallen to complete irrelevancy in less than a calendar year after being such a hot team and like making so much noise last year. It like reminds you that you can't take any of this for granted.
Right.
So sure, man.
There's just like so much that can happen to your team and like it can really fall apart quickly. But I mean, it was just cool. It was cool. Like, I'm glad it was vibey in the arena. I mean, to be honest, like, watching it was kind of boring, honestly, because the Nuggets are just like so
much better
matched the Memphis Grizzlies, and
It
so
was
there
very
are like
easy.
There were like a lot of like side questy things, like, oh, can Jay Huff get in? And so there were cool stuff about.
What about Christian though?
Christian, I mean, you said this the game before when Christian had a great game, or not specifically about him, but you're like, he played really great, but it's like that competition is so low.
Yeah.
Like, how, you give him credit, but it's like, how much credit do you give him, realizing the resistance he was receiving was maybe not the highest? That being said, like, he's knocking down his shots. He's working within his core competency. He doesn't appear to be trying to go outside of the box as much. He's like really playing strong, and I'm impressed by what I'm seeing. I'd like to, obviously, like, we're getting into some more heavy competition over the next 5 or so games. So that's why I really want to see that level of play keep trending. But like, over the last 2, be it Trailblazers and Memphis Grizzlies, he's looked great. But so I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, frankly.
I loved your Peyton Watson call out. I think it's the second time this year Malone's essentially said to him, hey man, the way you're doing this isn't isn't what we're asking of you. It's not good enough. But also more specifically, that's not what we're asking of you.
Right.
And twice now Peyton has essentially said, say less, heard, I got you, and gone out and displayed that, right? So, dude, they took away a rebound from Peyton. So that is no longer his first career double-double last night. But 10, 9, 2, 4 combined stocks, and 3 of them were blocks. This is crazy, crazy stuff in terms of like what he's capable of. And I think that box score really, and watching him really, it's precisely what Malone wanted. More energy. He was the hustle guy. He was disruptive, and like that he was 4 for 10. And it's good that he hit the 4, and I don't care that he missed the 6 because of the way he played outside of that.
I think there was a confidence that the bench got after the bailout game, that it was like, hey, we can do this now without them, and all these guys can contribute. I think the Nuggets over these last 2 games, they played it perfectly. Once without Jokic and Murray even traveling with the team, and they get an ugly, albeit they get a win, and it's like, hey, we can win without those 2 guys, even if it's against a weak opponent. And then last night, where you get rest for Murray and Aaron Gordon, but you get Jokic and the Pups, a job we now know he loves, and you get that done. And I just feel like when you have 2 weak games, if everyone was healthy, the Nuggets probably smack both teams, and we're talking only the way that Eric is talking, which is kind of boring, whatever, not much to take away. But the fact that we got to do this with Christian Brown, you're right that it doesn't mean he's ready for the playoffs to do this,
right.
But it does mean like, hey, that's perfect. You had 2 weak opponents and you allowed other guys to get the job done. It's like, like you ever watched lions hunt? You guys know, like with little pups or something, and they're trying to.
You've never watched them hunt, Eric?
Or like wolves. Think about a wolf.
Me
Like
either.
think about a wolf pack. And you have the wolf, like the main wolves, and they'll go out and they'll do the hunt. But then there's an easy hunt, and it's like, all right, this is going to be an easy one. And they're like, pups, let's let the pups do this one so that they can get a kill and they can kind of experience it. That's what these games were like. The pups got to do. You had the alpha wolf out there, and then you had all the pups, and they got to do it. And it's like, there you go, your first kill. That's what these games were. And guess what? It sets the stage perfectly, because now Aaron Gordon had a game off, Jokic had a game off, Murray had 2 games off, and now you get to go into this portion of the schedule that's going to get really interesting and really competitive. And I just feel like you got to rest while still winning. Win-win. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, let's look at some of the 2-time winners of the last 20 years. There's been 4 of them. And let's look for trends between year 1 and year 2 and see if anything rings a bell.
All right. Okay.
All right.
As I
Get water.
age a little bit, fellas, I find myself to be increasingly a creature of habit, and I like what I know.
Sure.
It's a world of change out there. I know I'm supposed to grow with it, but damn it, Eric, I like what I know. And I know that Miller Lite has the more taste you want and less of the stuff.
I was wondering where that was
you
going.
don't. It never changes, man. Miller Lite never changes. I know what I'm getting when I open up that bottle or that can.
Hell yeah, you do it. Miller time.
Yeah, I'm getting Miller time. I'm getting a great tasting light beer. They keep it simple, undebatable quality, great taste, only 96 calories, which means beer towers. Times change, but you can always enjoy the great taste of Miller Lite. Tastes like Miller time, baby. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/DNVR, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. How'd you guys do on your bets last night? I guess I don't have Dev here, so that question doesn't.
Yeah, how did you guys do?
How'd you do on your
bets?
on your
To be
bets?
honest, I never check until the next game.
That's good. That's a
That's how,
healthy,
I was going to say. This is how I know I have like a
healthy
good
distance
gambler.
from you in the app.
I'm so emotionally
know.
removed. I see the same bet every time. My wins get excited for. I'll find out tomorrow in the pregame show.
Can't
Like,
wait.
did we do well?
Can't wait.
Well, you could just check it now on your Bet365 app, where it's never ordinary. They don't do ordinary. They believe every sport should be epic. And right now, new customers can choose between 2 offers when they open up that account. And at Bet365, use the code DNVR365 to sign up. Put $10 in your account. You can choose between 2 options: a bet and get offer. Place a bet of $5 or more and get $150 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer. By placing a bet up to $1,000, and if your qualifying bet loses, you receive a matched refund in bonus bets. What a treat. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is so funny, man, because yesterday I did compare them to ducks. Today to wolves. Because I said the ducks because it's like yoke, at the top, the mama duck, and then they're all in a row right behind them.
Sure.
That's how they were last night. They're just
it's
like
so true,
following him, just following his orders, and they were perfect.
Really quick, I love that you said it that way, because one note I had on Colin was that this one felt a little less tethered to Jokic's greatness. Obviously, it all starts with Jokic's greatness, but in previous games, I'd feel like how some puppies, you let them off a leash and they still wouldn't leave a 3-foot radius.
Yeah.
That was Colin with Jokic.
Yeah.
And I felt like last night was a
Good
little
strategy, though.
Well, that's why I like when he plays. But last night there was a little bit more of like, this is Colin production, right?
Yeah.
Like I thought he put his fingerprints on the win and not just, hey, like I'm next to this guy. So that was really, really cool.
It was. He played great. 2 games in a row now that he's played great. Again, albeit a weaker competition, but you know what? We're going to give Christian and Julian and Peyton credit for it. He deserves it as well.
Totally.
And honestly, the thing about his game that I love the most from last night in particular is he played like Facu on defense. He grabbed like 6 50-50 balls. I think he was 6-0 on 50-50 balls last
4
night.
rebounds.
Big time plays, and he just was in the middle. I say this about Christian. Christian finds himself in the middle of a lot of stuff.
Right.
Colin was in the middle of a lot of stuff last night, and that's always a good sign.
Totally.
Nose for the ball, I think, is how Wynn put it last night. All right, let's look. I thought it would be interesting if we went back and looked at some of the back-to-back champions of the last handful of seasons, or last 20 seasons or so, and just saw some trends. And we're going to start. Some of these, I think, where there's a lot of commonalities, and some there's like absolutely not. We might be starting with the one where there's not any. Let's start with the Golden State Warriors. The most recent. We're going to go in reverse order. The Golden State Warriors of 2017 and 2018 went back-to-back. To set the table, the prologue to this was they were coming off that epic 3-1 collapse the year before.
That's right.
And they added Kevin Durant, to the first year. You get Kevin Durant, and it feels like a new era. I don't know if the Nuggets feel like a new era. Like, did 2023 feel like a different era from 2022? In some ways, it felt like the start of an era that had already started, but
Right.
we were like there was purgatory.
Right.
But it didn't necessarily feel wholly new. I don't know. That one's tough.
Yeah, no, it wasn't wholly new at all. The Nuggets, I mean, it was the steps, right?
Yeah, it
Like
was the steps.
We were just building towards something, and then after escaping purgatory, we got to where our ultimate goal had been.
Right.
So I mean, like adding Kevin Durant, like
That's a big change. I mean, look, Nuggets added Jamal Murray from injury, and that's why maybe there's some parallels here, but I don't know. In their first year, guys, they went 67-15. The Nuggets did not have a dominant year like that last year. They were the 1 seed, but it was a 53-win 1 seed. It wasn't like a crazy 67-15 is one of the best records in the history of the NBA. And then they went 16-1 in the playoffs. Nuggets went 16-4. 16-1 is a whole other level. In the following year, in 2018, their back-to-back year, they had a 58-24 record, slightly worse. They were the 2 seed behind an upstart Rockets team that was kind of their all-in year. And then here's what's funny. They went 4-1, 4-1, 4-3 against that Rockets team that really pushed them, and then 4-0. But you don't even remember this because that era of the Warriors was so soulless. They didn't even have Steph Curry till the game 2 of the second round. We don't even remember that. They were so good that they went 5-1 to start the playoffs without Steph.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's ridiculous.
So dumb.
that was a. I mean, the thing that sucks for the Warriors is that they had what the Nuggets had, and then they added Kevin Durant, and they sullied the entire thing. So I don't know. I guess we're gonna add who? I
don't think there's anything comparable to this. The better comparison, honestly, would be the Warriors in the previous 2 seasons, the 2015 and the 2016. But the difference is that Warriors team won 73 games. This Nuggets team is on pace to win, believe it or not, 57 or 58 wins, which is awesome. So it's kind of like a lesser version of that, but I don't think you can compare 73 to 58, even though 58 is great.
It's not like Denver's version of this was, look, we have a switch that we can flip it on late.
Yeah.
And the Warriors was more of, it's halftime and this shit is over. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And it's not, there was an eagerness to be their best at all times that I don't know if Denver has.
Yeah. So do you see any other parallels to them? There aren't a whole lot between those 2 teams. Like, they just were so dominant that it's hard to compare that Warriors team to any other team.
I mean, like, just anecdotally, we've always, in a joking way, but like kind of really thought about like it's Jamal Curry, it's MP Clay, and then you've got Jokic, the Draymond in the middle. Like there is very, very trace elements where they play similarly, but they don't. I mean, so no.
Because KD came in and made them different. It was a different identity. All right, let's go to the Heat. The prologue for the Miami Heat in 2012 was that they had that meltdown in the finals, an absolute meltdown. So they had a pain in their heart coming into that next year. But also, if you forget this, LeBron had never won a title. That was like a very much this could go either way. This could break the Heat, or they could, sort of rise to the occasion. We also don't remember this, guys. The 2012 season was a lockout year. That year was a lockout year. Only 66 games.
Wait.
Very condensed. I know LeBron has a bubble title and a lockout title. It's actually very wild to say. Very wild to say.
Dang, I forgot.
They went 50-16 that year, so only 66 games. That's a 62-win pace. And in the playoffs, they went 4-1, 4-2, 4-3 against the Celtics. Remember that crazy series?
Do.
And then 4-1 against the Thunder. They come back the next year and win 66 games, are slightly better. And again, 66 wins, man. It's hard to compare Denver at 57, 58 to 66.
It's a lot, man.
That's a lot different wins. It wasn't a weak East. In that year, that second year, they added Ray Allen, Rashard Lewis, and Chris Anderson, a.k.a. Birdman. So they added 3 rotation pieces that were all veteran impact pieces. But here's where the similarities come in. They won, if you remember this, 36 of their last 38 games. They had a 27-game win streak, an 8-game win streak, and then like a couple of win streaks in between 2 losses. The back half of their season was incredible. The Nuggets have a little bit of that going on in year 2.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the Nuggets are not like lining up with the win totals of these dominant teams because Jamal Murray was missing for part of the season. They started off strong, and the middle of the season sagged pretty low. Like, it just didn't look like they were necessarily as engaged all the time. And again, Murray was out. They were finding different ways to play. But now, ever since the All-Star break, you see this Nuggets team is completely locked in. This is how I envisioned that they would play the entire year this season.
Right.
To be the defending champions, come in and just wreck shop, let people know that there's really no point in even trying to oppose them, that they run this league. I wish that this had been the story for the entire season, but it does feel that way. The second half of the year, the Nuggets just locking in, going into the playoffs, full steam ahead, and removing all doubt.
One thing that feels very different is you mentioned those moves, which helped hugely in terms of depth, but they were also, I think maybe with the exception of Ray Allen, these like patchwork moves and kind of the beginning of this timeline the Heat were on, where they would begin to learn just how difficult it was to build out a roster the way they'd done it.
Right.
And they were so top heavy.
Right.
Whereas for me in year 2, I would say my biggest takeaway is that Denver's starting 5 is getting better as a 5 and less reliant on the 2. So that's one way in which it feels very different.
Well, that Heat roster, it would be like if they traded Christian Brown and Peyton Watson and Julian Strother for 1-year contract guys that made an immediate impact, that were really helpful, but it just left them to where they constantly had to be like, all right, who else is going to do it this year? We got PJ Tucker now, but who next year we're going to have to get so-and-so. But I will say, I actually think this comp works really, really well, because if you think about LeBron and Jokic, I think they're comparable in a lot of ways.
I agree.
That they dominate all parts of the game. But also, LeBron in 2013 leveled up and had a weight off of his shoulders. Like, he got a title, and it was kind of like, okay, exhale, we got this. And they had a freeness to them. And going on that massive second half run of the season, it does remind me a little bit of the Nuggets in that the way you get streaks like that is that the game becomes easy to you. Your best punch is great, and you can summon it when you need. And then on nights when it's like, oh, we got the Grizzlies tonight, okay, let's work on some stuff. So I actually think this comparison is pretty unique. And what I like about it is they went 4-0 in the playoffs that year. They win 4-0 over the Milwaukee Bucks, who were terrible. They were in the East, so they had an easy one. They got the Bulls 4-1, which people thought would be tough, but it actually wasn't. And then you went to the Pacers series, which was a surprise 4-3. That was the Paul George series. And then they went to the Spurs, and we all know that one was 4-3. So the interesting thing is that they dominated half the playoffs and snuck out the back half of the playoffs. I kind of could see it going like that for the Nuggets this year. They will be tested in rounds 1 and 2, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go long. But I could see this being a thing where it's like the first half of the playoffs and the second half of the playoffs are just 2 different things. Where the back half you get to a really tough whoever makes it out the West and a really tough Eastern Conference foe.
I definitely think your finals will probably more closely resemble that finals than what was last year and what was one of the more, I think, landslide victories.
Well, similar to the Heat, if you recall, when they won the first title, it was 4-1 over the Thunder. It wasn't that challenging for them.
Point.
Denver 4-1 over the Heat wasn't that challenging for them. So this one, to me, almost feels more like it mirrors them. What do you think, D-Line?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to. I mean, obviously tough to think about what the matchups will be, but I don't know. The Denver Nuggets are so like, I just have a hard time imagining anyone giving them a real series at this point in time. I just imagine them just kind of rolling through again. Even if we're talking about them playing the Celtics, like they've played them twice. If you're talking about in the context of of each game it being close, I can see that. But I have a hard time imagining anyone taking 3 games off of the Denver Nuggets.
You're that confident right now.
I really am, man. Like, I mean, I don't want to be like,
At sports, anything can happen.
Of course, like we're an injury away from it all falling apart, but like I just feel like there's just no one has a shot if the Denver Nuggets want to win a basketball game.
I definitely agree out west. Like, I don't think any of these teams take more than 2.
I think I'm with you, though, too, even on the East, where I look at we watched the Celtics last night, and the Celtics are in the Nugget spot. If you don't know, the Celtics blew a 30-point lead. They were up 30 points halfway through the second period, slowly bled out throughout the course of the game, and then, what do you know? Got to clutch time, and they did the iso ball thing where they kept throwing up ducks. So I don't know, but they're in the spot with the Nuggets were last year, where they have no motivation. They have these games mean nothing to them. And as much as I want to make fun of them, because I do think their late game stuff is meaningful, they're just in the Nuggets phase right now where their fans are going to be like, are we limping into the playoffs? And it's like,
no, none of that matters. Yeah. But I'm not even taking that into account. I'm just talking about when the Nuggets matched up against the Celtics, and I saw the Celtics play how we all expect them to play, using their strength of their 3-point shooting and watching that evaporate as it always does. Not just talking about the Celtics, talking about any team that uses that as their main strategy. When players get tight, finesse players get tight, they start missing shots, and the Denver Nuggets just don't have to rely on that ever. And so it is the styles make fights.
Yeah.
And the Denver Nuggets they're not susceptible to shot variance in the same way that the Celtics are.
So true, man. All right, let's keep going. There's 2 more. We got Kobe and Powell's Lakers of 2009 and 2010. So an interesting thread so far for the first 3 teams that we're talking about that went back-to-back is that their prologues were all heartbreak. They lost to the Celtics in the finals. So they were coming off of a year where they got so close but didn't get it, the same way the Heat were coming off of that, and the Warriors. All 3 of those teams lost in the finals. I think Denver is similar as all 3 of those teams in that they lost Murray, and they didn't even have a chance. But there was this sense of we're behind our own schedule, and we need to catch up to it. So they lost to the Celtics in the finals. They won 65 games that year. Here's another thing. So all 3 of these teams, more dominant regular season teams. But I'm going to go ahead and say it. The NBA is really balanced right now.
I agree.
And I think the 3-point shot making in the regular season
That's
has also leveled the playing field a little bit. So 65, 67, 66 wins for all these teams. That might be more like a 60-win team in our current era.
I mean, look at Boston. Like, the fact that team, as dominant as they are in all these indicators, and their record's amazing, their record won't be as good as some of these teams you're mentioning.
They won't get 65.
Like, I think you're right. I think you get the 3-point thing is huge. Like, you could just lose to anyone on any given night.
Yeah. They went 65-17 their first year. They were the 1 seed by a mile. They went 4-1, then 4-3, then 4-2, then 4-1. So pretty good playoff run. Not quite like Denver's playoff run last year, but pretty good. But then they came back in 2010, went 57-25, so had a slightly worse year, or actually a pretty meaningfully worse year. But they added Meta World Peace. So they actually added, and he was a main character on that team. Like, he was a top 4 guy. So they added a pretty big player, which changed things. Denver did not do that. They were the 1 seed in the West, but the 2 seed overall didn't end up mattering. They had a home court throughout because the 1-seeded Cavs did not make it to the finals. And they went 4-2, 4-0, 4-2, and 4-3. Not that dominant, actually. 4-2 was against Nuggets, by the way. And we know that series was razor thin. I don't see a lot of comparisons, actually, to this team either.
Yeah, I don't know. The Nuggets are like... It's hard to try. This is kind of
you'll see. I think the next one you'll actually agree. You'll see, but
okay. Maybe I'll wait for that one then.
So that team, I don't think there's a lot, mainly because they add a main piece. Where Denver did not add main pieces, they had young pieces, but they did not add a main impact piece. If we go to Shaq's Lakers, this is 2000 and 2001. The prologue was they were swept by the Spurs in the second round in '99, and they come back totally dominant, 67-15, one of the best regular season teams of all time, and in the playoffs. Actually, a bit of a struggle. People don't remember this. 3-2, 4-1, 4-3, 4-2. It was close for as dominant as they were. Their playoffs, they still struggled a little bit. But they come back the next year, 56-26. Way worse on paper in the regular season. But They won 8 in a row to close the year, and they went 3-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-1. Most dominant playoff run. Eric, you might see more similarities to this one, where it was the same team. You knew they were dominant, but they hadn't shown it. And then at the end of the year, they win 8 in a row, and you're kind of like, oh, here's that team again. And then the playoffs hit, and they didn't lose until game 1 of the finals, which was a fluke.
I mean, you said it. Like, that feels like something that we're watching. Like, the Denver Nuggets are better than their record would indicate it to this point, which is crazy because they're in first place in the West right now, and they are better than their 21 losses or whatever they have. Like, the Denver Nuggets have dropped 2 or 3 or 4 going into the All-Star break, which is funny because then they came right out of it and haven't really looked back since. There's been reasons that you can point to why they don't have as historically dominant a record this season as maybe I believe that they should. But I really think that that's going to be the story.
Do you think it's going to be like sweeps in 5-game series?
Man, I don't know. Like
they look really good.
I mean, you tell me, you're putting me in an uncomfortable position because you're asking me to plumb my heart. My heart is very confident. Like, my heart is like uncomfortably confident, and I shouldn't be saying it out loud. But like, I don't know, man. Like the Nuggets since the All-Star break again have lost 2 games, one of which was on a last-second shot, the other of which took a last-second shot to push it into overtime. They could be on a 15-game streak right now.
Yeah. Here's why I think this comp is my favorite one, even though it's the Lakers. I've always said that Murray and Jokic, Kobe and Shaq.
This is it.
They had a go-to thing that worked every time. They didn't, for them, it was like inner conflicts and stuff that they didn't always go to it. For the Nuggets, maybe it's just boredom on some of their guys' parts. But then when it was time, late in season, okay, let's go to it. Oh, yeah, that still works perfectly, and there's no answer. And they got to the playoffs and ran it. And that's where I think the comp is very similar.
And, one star who was like obsessively meticulous about his process, perhaps. Now different, and then another one who was just supremely confident that he would show up whenever it mattered.
Right.
And
he was right.
And he was right. So there's some real parallels there as well. I think that you got the best 2-man game in basketball, and it's an actual 2-man game, and no one can guard it, man. Yeah. No one can guard it.
3 of these teams made big runs after the All-Star break to close out the year. Nuggets are doing that. I actually feel like there are some parallels there, but the Kobe, Shaq, Lakers to me are the ones that seem the most apt. And guess what? The only team of those 4 that we talked about that 3-peated. So feeling good about the Nuggets right now. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, I do want to talk about this upcoming slate for the Nuggets. And then later on in the show, we'll predict the record for the Thunder and the Timberwolves.
Dude, that's awesome. You know what else is awesome? Not my best segue. Volo Sports, a premier monthly membership program that gives members unlimited access to sports, events, and social activities every night of the week. Think of it this way. If you are new to Denver, if you're looking for friends in Denver, you're trying to stay active in Denver, you can do it all in one place with Volo, where the icebreaker is kind of just built into signing up for the activity. It's not awkward that you're there to make friends. It's kind of what everyone's doing. You can join with your friends, or you can join as a free agent. Sign up for this Volo Pass because the members receive the Modern Day Sport and Social Club for only $20. Well, it's only $20 a month, and members receive unlimited access to pickups and league drop-ins as a sub. League discounts up to $50 for your discounted access to tournaments, fitness classes, and events. There's also the Travel with Volo Pass feature. These perks are all accessible in any Volo city. So sign up on the Volo app today using code DNVR3. That's DNVR3 on the Volo app to get your Volo Pass for only $10 a month for the first 3 months.
I'll tell you too, like after Volo events that take place in City Park, it is not uncommon to see large groups of Volo members come to the DNVR bar and raise a ruckus. They are hooting, they are hollering, they are having a great old time.
I always get a little bit of FOMO too, because as fun as our job is, we're working. And I'm like, wow, look at all those Denver youths out and about, enjoying life, you know?
And hollering.
You know what else I enjoy? Saving money and trusting my financial institution with my money. That's why I want to tell you guys about Premier Members Credit Union. Yes, there are a lot of financial institutions to remember out there, but there's only one that you need at the top of your mind here, and it's Premier Members Credit Union, which is not a bank. which means they get to do things differently, like putting their members first with higher savings interest and lower loan rates. With PMTU, you get local branches, friendly sellers, and the tools you need to save smarter, like their new high-yield savings account or earn 5% APY on your first $2,000 with their reverse tier money market. And here's a fun little kicker. When you become a new member at PMCU, you get $200, just like that. All you have to do is open a checking account and sign up for e-statements. It's that easy. This will be your best money move yet. Head to becomepremier.com to find out more.
All right, back here, segment 3. Throw us a like if you're watching. If you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Subscribe.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
It's literally free.
It's literally free. Also, you should subscribe on your podcast app, even if you're not listening to it. It helps us out. Just get those subs up. Write a rating or review. Something nice about Eric. Something nice about Vote. I'm gonna break. We always break this season down into little segments. I think we're in the rhythm segment. You want to know something? Pretty good rhythm.
Yeah, dude. Rhythm's gonna get you.
The rhythm right now for the Nuggets has been pretty good. Since the rhythm segment began, the Nuggets are, oh my God, I have to go all the way back to it. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9-1 in the rhythm segment.
Yeah, dude, that's a good rhythm.
That's pretty good.
It's a hard, some people go 4-4, we go 9-1.
That's right. This, that's such a good, so dumb. The next 3 games to me, you could break it down into 2, you could break it down to 3, you could even break it down into 4 if you want to add the Spurs as the little ender there. But you got the Phoenix Suns coming in on Wednesday. You've got the Timberwolves on Friday. And then you have the Cavs. The Suns and Wolves in particular are rivalry, important West Coast games. And you could tell Denver's gearing up for them by the fact that they're resting guys. What do we expect for these 3 games? Or do you think we should expand it and add the Spurs, because that's also a home game, or contract it and just talk about Wednesday and Friday?
I feel like maybe the safest way is you contract it and you say...
Yeah, contract.
This is...
2 games.
If they do take their feet off the pedal or whatever, off the gas, it won't be until this stretch right here is done. I think this is like the end of the hard work. And if you handle it well, you're probably sitting pretty. And then maybe then it's a bit more like, all right, it's the Spurs, we'll turn it on in the 4th, whatever. But I think these next couple could demand, the sharpness from you that we've come to expect here.
Yeah, I would say contract definitely, because the Spurs have no interest in winning basketball games, except for that they beat the Suns last night. So I don't know what
do the Suns have interest in winning basketball games?
I don't know.
I don't know the 4th quarter numbers. Maybe not.
Bro, I know. I watched the game. I don't think they actually... That team might have quit. We can talk about them in a second, having fun at the end. But they might have quit, man.
Every 4th quarter they do. I don't understand.
No, but the last, week and a half, that looks like a team that... You know what it looks like? And this is just, we're going off the rails here because we're having fun.
We're having fun here.
We don't have to be that serious about that. I wouldn't say this on All NBA, but I'll say it here.
Hell yeah.
It looks like something happened. You know what I mean?
Like a birthday party?
No. It looks like there's something behind the scenes or something where these guys now hate each other. Because they look like guys that are like, we really have to do this for
You know what I bet
months?
they did is had a podcast together.
You know what it is? You know what it is? A wise man once said it. Winning is fun and losing sucks.
It's so
Yeah,
true.
but they're losing as if they're like, I'm not losing, they're losing. I'm just along for the ride. You're like, hold on a second. That's what it looks like.
It's so
It's like,
true.
well, it's the 4th quarter. I'm going to see if Devin Booker can bring us home.
You're like, I don't know what that guy was
And
doing.
Booker's
over
like,
there.
well, I'm going to see if KD can get us home. I'm telling you,
that's like-
the vibes are at all-time low at
It's
Phoenix.
so weird. You bring together a bunch of mercenaries and
You're right.
miserable personalities. You put them all together and you get this. I mean, who could have seen this coming? It's unbelievable.
Well, Bradley Beal's been hurt. That's the part I didn't see coming.
Did you guys see some of the Suns fans' tweets last night?
Bro, they're down. They're done.
Someone posted a picture of the Chris Paul, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges team.
Oh,
and they
that's
were
a
like, this
heartbreaker.
was the team we fell in love with. I saw another one that said, I've never hated a team more. I'm not going to lie, guys. We haven't been wrong in 2 years.
This is the funniest one to be right about.
And we throw a lot of shit out there.
This is the funniest one to be right about. Anyway, that's the Suns. But nonetheless, Suns Nuggets does carry. I think the Suns will be up for this game. They need it. They need a good win. A good win for them could turn around their season in a weird way. Just something to grab onto. And meanwhile, the Nuggets look to me like a team that's like, yeah, we owe you one. And also, we need to break this is a chance to break a team, in my opinion.
Oh, man.
Oh, not only can they break them psychologically as it pertains to the Nuggets versus the Suns, but they can kind of cement them into the play-in.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is wild. The idea that you would gut your team that just made it to the finals, had some really positive things going. We're homegrown, all of the things you want from a team. And then you trade that all away, all of it for Kevin Durant. And then you bring in, again, these mercenary guys, Bradley Beal, Nurkic, Grayson Allen, like loathsome characters. And it's so much appreciably worse in every way. Like, I mean, I feel bad for Suns fans in this way. Obviously, it's not over. Anything can happen, but I can understand, man. Like, that would suck to cheer. We had these philosophical conversations a lot during the formative years of this we don't skip steps Nuggets, where, you know, like, what would you be willing to sacrifice? We're talking about, like, God, getting rid of Gary Harris, getting rid of all these guys that we were like, it would just feel much worse to bring in just like a soulless superstar and finally get over the hump in that way. And Matt Ishbia, who has actually no ties to the area, just came in, swooped in, saw an opportunity.
Yeah, he's so perfect though. You know, no ties to the area yet somehow.
But I'm saying like he comes in and he does all this dirty work on their behalf, in their name, and it feels good. You're like, wow, there's a guy coming in. We just got off Robert Sarver. We're moving, we're shaking, and it's truly like a deal with the devil. It is wild to see how this is all shaking out.
So that game will be an interesting one, and I will say this. I kind of expect the Nuggets to throw a haymaker. I don't expect the Nuggets where we're like all excited for this game and they show up and it's like, oh my God, really, Nuggets? I think this is one where they come out with energy. I mean, AG is rested. He always plays great on rest. Murray is rested. And by the way, seems to love going up against Devin Booker, always has these great games. And then, by the way, I know it's not a big deal, but they did lose to the Suns at home.
Yeah, totally.
The Suns came in here and beat them.
Totally.
And I just think that anytime a team beats you, especially when you're on a heater and the Nuggets are on a heater, there's a little bit of all right, we have to erase one wrong. So I think the Nuggets come out big. And then you got the Timberwolves. So the Timberwolves right now, I got to tip my hat to them. They have faced some real adversity, and they have keep punching. They are a tough-minded team, more so than they have ever been in this era. But this is a game, and that Timberwolves one, where the Nuggets can create not enough separation that you can completely count it out. It's not a knockout punch, but it's definitely they would hit the mat. If this was a fight, this would be like a 7th round, the other boxer goes down. You know, you're winning this round no matter what. That's what that game represents, and I expect them to be fully focused and locked in on that one too.
I totally agree. And the thing of that the Timberwolves have going against them is that they no longer have the Twin Towers to bracket in Nikola Jokic. So you're talking about leaving Rudy Gobert to just go, like, theoretically to match up against Jokic one-on-one versus having him just kind of roam and putting Cat on Jokic. And so the trouble that the Timberwolves were causing the Nuggets, both in the playoffs and earlier on in the season, in my view, is like completely gone. Like, the Nuggets should really have not that much trouble with this version of the Timberwolves, outside of the fact that they just have a bunch of dogs. Like, Anthony Edwards is just such an impressive player, but you know, he doesn't make the most cerebral plays, but he's
gotten a lot better lately.
Yeah, he's got a lot of heart and he's got a lot of pride, and there's a lot of guys on that team that sort of fit that same mold. It's just like I don't like the matchup for them anymore, like I was a little bit nervous about earlier in the year.
Yeah. Anything? No. All right, let's take a break on the other side. I think both of those games are going to be great. I think we're going to see a really good Nuggets performance over the next two games. I mean, we never know. But I actually think we're going to get as close to peak regular season Nuggets as you can after these two games. And if they send messages in them, it might be the last time we see it. We'll find out. On the other side, though, the Thunder and the Timberwolves, let's go through their schedules and try to figure out how many games they're going to win.
You know what's peak? You know what's peak Colorado? A little outdoor patio beer at Illegal Pete's.
Holy smokes, dude.
Dude, I love Illegal Pete's.
We should just put that on the Colorado flag. You know what I mean? Just a couple of buddies having patio beers at Illegal Pete's.
Man.
On the flag.
Patio beers, one of the staples of Denver culture, in my opinion.
Also, just that's a great vibe, man.
No, it's an A+ vibe. Are you kidding me?
We're in patio season, by the way. We're even in nighttime patio season right now. I've been going out on the porch.
Dude, I'm getting my patio shirts ready. Anyway, this episode.
I send you guys a video of me where the coyotes are fighting outside my yard? You can just hear them. You guys want me to send that?
You should send that to me, actually. I am interested.
Should we play that on the show, Alyssa? I don't know.
All right, real quick, just for the partner. Illegal Pete's is Peak Colorado, and you can also now tap into Peak Colorado in Wheat Ridge because Illegal Pete's Gold's is open. Swing by, enjoy the fun. Located in Gold's Marketplace on the corner of 26th and Kipling overlooking Crown Hill Park in Wheat Ridge, Colorado. Stop by to be a part of this historical Illegal Pete's moment. Illegal Pete's, it's your spot for burritos, buddies, and beers. Guys, have you noticed how dope the DNVR bar has been lately?
Hear that?
Yeah, that's the sound of
coyotes.
that's the sound of everyone trying to get into the DNVR bar to watch March Madness.
Hey, Vote, we need you to kind of like step up the ad reads. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, these are good.
Yes, stop playing coyote video. DNVR events are awesome. We don't just hold watch parties at the DNVR bar. There's sponsored events. There's always cool stuff going on. Circa has sponsored our March Madness events going on here at the DNVR bar.
Oh, yeah.
Doors open at the DNVR bar at 11 a.m. Thursday, 3/28 and Friday, 3/29. Enjoy that, fellas. I'm going to be out of town. Lots of great drink specials Thursday and Friday, bottomless mimosas on the weekend mornings. Hosting live shows down at the bar as well. One of the best parts about the DNVR bar is you can walk in for an event and then you never know, like if you do have a favorite podcaster or writer, they might just be there hanging out. Buy them a beer, just say what up. Follow us on social at DNVR_sports or go to the DNVR.com/events and check out our calendar.
All right, we are back. Final segment here, DNVR Nuggets podcast. We're back tomorrow, post-game show. It's a late one. By the way, come to the bar. Come to the bar tomorrow. Should be a good party.
Me?
Well, you'll be here.
I don't want to.
You'll be here.
I'm busy. I have plans.
There might be some people here. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, so I'll just say it and claim ignorance. Might be some people filming a video here that you might make its rounds later on in the Nuggets NBA universe. So could be a chance for you to be on like some
I'm intrigued.
I
was vague enough.
It was very vague.
It was vague.
Exquisitely vague.
The Thunder have a lot of games left this year. D-Line might wind up being right about his prediction that the Nuggets are going to be number one, especially if they just keep winning. I mean, that's the easiest
That's what
thing.
I'm saying. Like they're just going to keep winning games. You don't fall if you keep winning.
Well, listen to this schedule. Tonight, they play the New Orleans Pelicans. Everybody lock in and root on those Pels, baby.
Let's go.
First of all, at Pels, I would pick Pels. Like tonight, that is a Thunder underdog type of game. And then guess what? On Wednesday, they play at home against Houston. So they have a back-to-back. Pelicans-Houston is very tough. Real quickly there, what do they go in those two games?
I'll say 1-1. I think they dropped the Pelicans game. They are good. They're
Houston is the longest win streak in the NBA, 9 in a row.
I know. I also think the Pelicans are playing well. I mean, not as well as the Rockets, but I don't think they're a team you want to see right now. And I could see them dropping one, but then the Thunder are too good of a team to not just, hey, like they're chasing the 1 seed and they know it. I think they recoup and then they beat Houston.
Yeah, they're going to go 2-0. I don't think this is where we can pick up a game. But the one thing I will say about the Thunder in general is that this is the first time in their history of this version of the team where they are facing expectations. And we don't know what that looks like to them. They've been playing with house money this entire year. They've been, just been able to explore who they are, play freely. Shea has been, like doing what he does, but like they've never had anybody actually believing in them to this point.
And now it's like
this is when things change.
This is the final stretch. Like, yeah, you always see it in the Olympics with the sprinters or whatever, when it's like some upstart young person's in front and they're like, "Oh, this is so great." Then the veteran kicks in and they're like, "Oh crap, man, this is tough."
You're describing the scene when Vin Diesel hits the Nas.
That's it. That's the one.
After Paul Walker, and then tells him you went too early.
9 Fast, 9 Furious.
That's it. Yep. It's the first one.
I think 1-1. Honestly, on this one, Pelicans. First of all, the Thunder struggle against size. Pelicans have size. That's their advantage. So that's already a matchup that I kind of like in general. And then I think they go 1-1 on this one. Then they have Phoenix. Right now, I think everybody's beating Phoenix. So we'll just go ahead and say Phoenix.
Phoenix is down. Phoenix is down nowhere bad more than in our minds.
So they have one more loss. Then they play at New York. Loss.
Entirely
Knicks
possible.
in the Garden.
Yeah.
That team is a juggernaut. I'm going to take Knicks there. Then they have at Philly. Now here's something, you guys.
He might be back.
Embiid might be back by that game. Might be back. And then so Philly 2.5. Who knows? You know what? They might lose 4 of those. Then you have Boston at Boston. That's a loss.
That's a loss.
So they definitely have 3 more losses. Then they fall. Oh, by the way, at Boston, second night of a back-to-back. Their second back-to-back of the week.
That's an L.
That's why I think 3 or 4 losses is possible. They have a lot of games and not a lot of time, and they're all against good teams and on the road. Then they're at Indiana. Indiana's starting to get it together again. I think they might win that one. 3, maybe 4. At Charlotte after that.
That's a loss.
Nice.
But you know what? It is the end of a 5-game road trip. It's not going to be a loss, but it is one that's like they're going to have to play probably harder than they want.
It's still
win. Then they come home and play Sacramento. Sacramento almost certainly going to need that game. What did I just say they struggle against? Size. I'm counting that as a 4th loss. I think so far we see 4 losses from them. Then they go San Antonio, Milwaukee, Dallas. Milwaukee, Dallas at the very end, and I think there's a good chance that both of those teams need a win or have not given up yet. I'm going 5 losses.
Do you guys remember like a few months ago, we were like, look, at some point Denver's schedule is going to get very different than these teams. And everyone kept saying, well, when is that coming?
It took a long time.
We maybe started it a bit early.
Yeah.
But we're here. This is it. Like, this is Denver played a crunched, condensed top of the year. OKC has to finish a crunch condensed top of the year. I do think they've earned benefit of the doubt in a regular season environment. They are winning these games, but it's about dropping 1 or 2 right now.
Right.
And that's on the table.
If they only lose 3 of these games, it would be so freaking impressive. That tells me that 4 or 5 is the most likely outcome, and Denver already has up on them. That's a great sign, because I don't know if Denver's dropping 4 or 5. I think that they have a great chance of not doing that. Let's go to the Timberwolves. They've got Detroit tomorrow. That's an easy one. Come on, that's a win. Denver, you got to make them give an L there. You got to do it. Let's count that as an L. Yep. You got to do it. Then they've got Chicago at home. Then they have Houston at home. They should win both of those, but Houston's tough.
Yep.
Chicago's tough too. They're scrappy. Then they have Toronto. Brucey B needs to go off for us, man. He needs to do it for us.
Not happening.
I wouldn't hold my breath.
I wouldn't hold my breath either. Although, come on, right now Minnesota, they're just not that great.
No.
And by the way, that Toronto game's second night of a back-to-back, even though it's at home.
No.
And that is the battle of the true north. Then you go on the road at Phoenix.
Yeah.
Do they win at Phoenix?
Yes, they win it.
I actually think that's the one they win totally. Yeah. They'll lose to like Toronto or
then
something.
at Lakers. You don't think they'll beat? You think they'll beat the Lakers?
No, I think they will beat the Lakers.
Ah, damn. Then they have Washington. That's a win. Then they have at Denver again, and that's the second night of a back-to-back. We got to count that as a loss. Then you have Atlanta and Phoenix. Is it possible that the Wolves are actually the toughest contender to Denver? We just had them going, 9-2?
I mean, it's like both of these. It's going to be a 3-team race in a sense, but to me, the Denver Nuggets are now. They have taken the pole position, and it's not really about who's behind them. It's about who's in front of the Nuggets. Like, I'm not worried about any of these teams. I can just see the Nuggets just going into overdrive.
Well, to this point, though, if they only lose the 2 games to the Nuggets and beat the rest, which we just did, we just went through it, and we thought there was 1 or 2 games you could see them losing, but we picked them to win. So if they only lose those 2 games, Denver still needs to only lose 2 games total, even with that win, or I guess maybe 3.
And
that's tough.
And there's tiebreakers here that aren't in Denver's. That
tiebreaker
they would
be
have that tiebreaker. That's right. Yeah, what if they've won those games? Yeah, I mean, it's not written in stone. I do think the Wolves, I think, have in their DNA, like, they're going to lose 1 or 2 of those that we have them winning. Yeah. I think they are. That feels a little harsh for a team.
So you think they'll lose 3 games?
They have a little bit of, like, how did we lose that one? And I know this isn't the most sound analysis. But
I think you're right.
That's
how it works.
That's the thing, is that the most sound analysis is usually wrong.
And Denver's failsafe is this, like, okay, well, we were more talented than them and we played hard, but they got all the breaks, but we're better in the clutch, and that's that. Whereas, like, the Wolves could conceivably lose 1 or 2 of those games in the final 5 minutes, especially without Cat, where they're not as good in those moments. So I kind of just feel in my heart like they're going to drop 1 or 2 they shouldn't.
So here, I like this. So here's what this tells me. If you beat the Timberwolves both times, I think that means Denver will be able to lose 4 games. They'll have to win everything else. They have Phoenix. We think they should win that one. And again, they have to beat Minnesota. But you might lose to Cleveland, though. They might lose to Cleveland.
Yeah.
It's at home, but you just went through 2 emotional games. It's possible. Cleveland's really good. Cleveland always plays them well.
Home.
Okay, but I'm just saying let's count possible losses. Okay. You have San Antonio at home. You should not lose that one. You go at Clippers. Let's just count it as a loss again. I'm trying to be gracious here. Count it as a loss at Clippers. You're home against Atlanta. You should beat that one. You're on the road at Utah, which they never win, but this should be the ultimate. Like, you got to win that one.
Please.
They're tanking. We talked about them beating Minnesota, so we'll count it. And then at the end, you have at San Antonio, at Memphis. Let's say you lose one of those even just because it's the end of the year. That's only 3. So Denver, even if they lose those games to Cleveland and to the Clippers, there should not be 4 losses in there as long as you take care of these next 2 and the one other game against Minnesota. Denver should get it. I'm looking at it now, guys. I'm with D-Line. I'm moving over. I think that we could get the 1 seed. And I would now say that I think it is more likely than any other team is more likely.
Once they opened up the 1-game lead, the actual first place lead, I think things changed because they mostly control their destiny against the Wolves. And this is the part of the season where OKC really has to push. Yeah. And they might not. I mean, they want to secure the seed, but the playoffs are also just around the corner. Like, no one wants to be in playoff mode right now. You know, I mean, like, you want to be playing well, but you don't want to be You don't want to be fighting with desperation to an exhausting extent the way the Thunder might have to.
Well, if we're really talking about it too, like, how great would it be if Denver just takes care of business for real over this next 2 weeks, and then they're up by enough that at San Antonio, at Memphis,
that's what I mean. Like,
leave Yoke at home.
It's
Play with the baby.
entirely on the table.
Play with the baby, man. Stay home, take a little trip.
Like,
you know,
like I don't know how many games remain.
I think 10.
10 remain, and how many in a row have they won?
8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10. 4.
4. I'm going to say it right now. They're going to have the longest win streak in the Jokic era.
That would only be 6 more wins. That means they beat Phoenix, Minnesota, Cleveland, San Antonio, Clippers, Hawks. That would be great.
I'm going to say it, man. I really like.
Say it, baby. This is great.
We're gonna win out the rest of the season. Watch. We're going to win out.
Win out the rest of the
season.
season.
We're going to win out the rest of the season. Watch.
Well, they only need 6 to prove you right for your first prediction, which I love. All right, hit that outro music, Alyssa. Nuggets are sitting pretty, but you know what? This time of year, it's that thing where one game and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, they blew their chance. Now they're underdogs, so you got to take care of business. That starts tomorrow with the Suns game, which should be hopefully another statement game. I anticipate it'll be the return of Murray.
I think it's going to be a blowout.
I would love just like a start to. Actually, you know what game I'm rooting for? The closeout game, Game 6. Do you remember the photo of Yoke and Murray on the bench looking bored? And the score's there and they're up 30 or 40 or whatever it was?
Dude, there's a good chance Nurkic is not going to play tomorrow.
Why?
He had to leave last game. He hurt his ankle.
That's right.
We need Hunter Tyson garbage time 3s tomorrow.
Oh, man. Human
like
victory
the desert
cigar.
needs the rain. Dude.
One quick vibes note I forgot to give you guys on the post-gamer. Malone joked about Hunter Tyson. Yeah, he's up there icing his elbow right now. Yeah, he got every shot up in 5 minutes. It was awesome. And then he said, I love it.
Yeah, he loves that guy. You could tell he likes Hunter Tyson.
Does.
All right, we got 2 super chats. Let's hit them.
Ulysses Ventura, get the first seed and play the Rockets round 1.
Oh, I love this take. The Rockets are streaking, you guys. Actually, we don't want the Rockets.
Worst matchup than the Lakers.
No Şengün now, so I don't know.
I don't know. No. Cedric Exquisite will close it out. # break 58 wins. Championship trophy. Hang loose emoji. Eric/vote. Come on, smile at him.
Did I not smile today?
He's really harsh on you.
Is this what it's like to be a woman, Alyssa?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you smile more?
And I'm going to be honest, Alyssa, you could too.
Yeah.
You could too, okay? How about that?
Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us. Fun show today. We're going to be back tomorrow for a post-game show. We'll see you there.
Let's go.
We all silly like the mayor.